Thank you so much for joining. Shalom, 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 Kitty, shalom, Eli, shalom, Abigail. Do I know everybody's name? Marcus, I remember. No, in the back, I'm not sure if Shoshana Ruth and Gabriella, right? And Naomi and Layla. Shalom Aleichem. Bruchim Aboim. Bruchim Aboim. Of course, I did. Of course, the two Judys, yes. And Derek from LA. What's your name again? David. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so Mamish, first of all, singing a nigun. Singing a nigun is good before learning. Singing a nigun is also good before eating. Singing a nigun is an eitzah that Rabbi Kivak gives. Rabbi Kivak has become my newest, deepest living Rebbe, Baruch Hashem. It's so good to have somebody alive to relate to, we can really look up to. Without idolizing, just look up to, just somebody who's he's a man in his, I think, late 60s, and his students are much more famous than him. He has two very famous students. One of them, his name is Rabbi Avraham Tzvi Kluger. You may have heard of him. And his other student, even more famous, is Rabbi Itchy Meyer Morgenstern. Now, these are unbelievable lights that are lighting up, and he has many others who are less famous, who are more sort of internal in the Chassidic Welt. But Rabbi Kivak himself, like many people, have not heard of him at all.
In what country?
Here, he lives right here in Sorotskin Street, Yerushalayim. Remind me your name? Yosef. Shalom, shalom. And it was an incredible thing that this past week on last Wednesday night, I went to his shir. He gives shir every Wednesday night, and in Hebrew. And they have these teachings of his that they give out every once in a while. And I was just preparing to give this year about eating. And what do I see? Achilatam Shel Yisrael. He just came out with a pamphlet, literally like last week, a brand new thing. So that's where he writes this, that singing a nigun is good before eating. We're gonna draw a lot from this. And it's an amazing siyata d'shmaya. I just have to say that the whole thing of teaching in Simchat Shlomo, teaching Torah anytime, but teaching at Simchat Shlomo and connecting with Rav Shlomo and Rav Shalom Zal, it reminds me of like 4 years ago, when it was Corona time, and my Corona Torah project was learning Seder Zra'im, which is the section, a whole sixth of the oral Torah that is about what I call Ben Adam Latzemach. We have like different relationships. We have a relationship that's also related to food, very related to food. A whole sixth of the oral Torah that's all about relating to the earth and growing things. And we went and we did almost all of the Mishnayos online during Corona, and I learned Baruch Hashem the whole Seder Zra'im in Yerushalmi. And when I was about 2 weeks before teaching it, this guy who I know in Yerushalayim calls me out of the blue and says, "I'm moving to England. I have a set of the Art Scroll Yerushalmi. Could you use it?" Just like, it's a very expensive item, and it was this huge chunk of Torah, and it was just incredibly helpful. And now that this precious kuntras came down, it's for me, and it's for you, and it's for everybody who's going to listen to this in the future. It's Hashem. So Baruch Hashem. And really, this is that whole process of me being there at the right time and finding this, and this friend calling me. This is very related to Shalom, Shalom. This is very related to everything we're going to be learning about food. we're going to see, Mamish, we are on this incredibly exciting journey in this world. And I'll just tell you right away, a huge, incredible Torah. Actually, no, let's take a step back. What I want to do is go around the room for a minute. And when I say the word Kedushat Ha'achila, when I say those words, the holiness of eating, and when you think about that applying to you in your own life, when you think about that applying to you in your own life, I'm going to wait for everyone to get settled. I'll tell you the amazing Torah first. Sorry. Is the amazing Torah is, and I'll come back to it, is that the Morinayim that we're going to see, we have there's just bursting with so much Torah for us to learn, but the Morinayim and Parshas Matos, which we're going to go through at a later date, word by word, he says that the word shulchan, table in Hebrew, comes from the word shaliach, messenger. Because the table is a messenger for the exact foods that are meant for you. In all of creation, there are specific foods that are meant to reach you, that are part of your journey. Just like the specific, like this, this pamphlet is reaching me and reaching you. It's all mamish, deeply, deeply min hashemayim. And sitting at a shulchan to realize what that is, how big of a deal that is. How exciting it is to be on this journey of, I forgot who was, somebody who said this, and Rav Kivak says it also based on a story from Rabbi Nachman, that we're not physical beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? The ani is the neshama, and we're here in this world of shapes and colors and air and jobs and items and food, and we should feel, the goal is, today is Malchus Shebenetzach, we should feel the dignity, the royalty of our ability to succeed, to win, to do it, to chaburah, the food that we need. And here's just a little play on words, just as everybody's getting comfortable. And then I want to go around the room, but the word netzach, okay, this is just mamash, almost a joke, but it's always good to start with a joke. The word netzach is to achieve, right? To win, to be victorious. The sphera today, the last sphera we call netzach. And then you have the word nebach, which you could spell nun bet chet, right? Nebach. You could spell it that way. You can always spell whatever. I don't know if nebach has an official spelling. But in Yiddish, it's nun ayin bet vav chaf or something. But for our purposes, we can spell it nun bet chet. So there's just a one-letter difference between nebach and netzach, right? So the trouble is, right? We can feel forlorn. We can feel unimportant. We can feel insignificant. Nebuch, nebish. And this became a word in English, nebish. And somebody is a neb. A neb. What a neb. and so to turn nebuch into netzach, the difference is 88, which is chat. It's the chat. The chat. As we're going to see, mamish, this is b'mechuben gadol to the lashon of Reb Tzadok Hakohen Lublin about what eating is, how deep it is, that we can chat, that we're here to achieve. We want to have some pep in our step. And okay, but just to take a step back, now that we're sort of gathered and everyone is present, I'm sure some more people are going to wander in, but that's That's okay. That's because I'm never on time, so nobody knows when to really come. Chaim L'chaim should be blessed with like the deepest, the greatest timing. Gonna do. I have a Masorah to uphold over here. If someone would always say, I don't want to put Mashiach. I don't want to embarrass Mashiach because if I'm on time, but he's so late, right? So I'll also be late, so it makes him Mashiach feel better, right?
Oh,
Well, so in any case,
a little tshuva.
a little tshuva. Bezos Hashem. I try. It just never works out. Okay, so that's what it does. Okay, where were we? So when you hear this word, kedushas achila, the holiness of eating, and when you think of yourself having kedushas achila, having holy eating, what are the first words? And let's try and be vulnerable and honest about it. Excuse me. What are the first words that come to your mind? Okay, you want to start? It looks like something came to mind. That's a good word.
Refrigerator, and I've had stuff on cabinets over different years. It was like, wow.
Very good. That's a good word. Wow. Excellent. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Spiritual connection, right?
Physical and spiritual combined.
Yes. That it can, but spiritual and physical combined, right? Right. But how I want to hear more like not just the idea of it, but how you feel about your ability to do it, right? Can you have kedushas achila? Is it right? How does it make you feel? How does the idea of kedushas achila land as a achievable thing? Right?
Don't go into McDonald's.
Oh. Can I just have one McBreak? Yeah, go ahead.
I think a big part of it is slowing down.
Mhm.
Eat.
Yeah,
You
fair.
could be eating anything, but if you're eating it too fast, it could just feel like you're rushing through.
Yeah, fair. I want you to slow down. Excellent. Great. Yes. Making a bracha. Absolutely. Making a bracha does bring kedushas achila, 1000%. And thank God, we do that. We see we can do it, right? We're aiming for the can-do approach, but I want to just acknowledge that this is not an easy topic, and it's intimidating. It's intimidating, right? Anybody else kind of feel that way? Let's go into more words. Ruth, what was it again? Shoshana Ruth, yeah.
Eating for comfort rather than for
Eating for comfort, right? You grab for the, I totally know about that. Or like, I tell myself I'm eating to stay awake, but is that really why? I know I'm not hungry. Stimulation, etc. Excellent. Yes. Anyone else? Don't be shy. It's good to speak it out. Yeah.
Just another like thought or question I have with kedusha achila is like
Yeah.
how gluttonous you can be.
How gluttonous can.
How much are you supposed to enjoy food?
Oh, good. Right. So a question comes to your mind. How much are we supposed to enjoy our food? Right. What's the excellent question. Right. We're now thinking of words or ideas that come to our mind when we think about kedushat achila and me. Can I do this? Right? How do we feel about this? Right? Yeah. Anyone else with it? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Don. Yeah.
And it's a real battle between this ideal of like the Kohen Gadol eating on the Mizbeach, Shulchan Adam is mechaper alav,
Yes.
and shtik fleish looks really good.
I'll just translate a little bit what he said. That on the one hand, the Talmud says that a person's table can bring them atonement, and the Kohen Gadol, eats, and the Kohanim eat, and they bring, and so on, and it brings atonement to the base. Because on the other hand, you see a nice piece of steak, and you just wanna gobble it up, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
A treatment for insomnia.
Treatments for insomnia. Mm-hmm. It can be right. It could be the opposite. I sometimes eat to stay awake. You can eat to fall asleep. Eat the right foods. You get heavy. Just yeah. Mm-hmm.
Reb Leibish.
Yes. Go ahead. Please get.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I This is something that I'm really interested in. I'm glad I get to be here on Zoom even while I'm at work. But it's something that I've been wanting to work on, and I was working on more before I was working so much and life just got in the way, and I started just like walking while eating and just kind of doing it to stay alive, which I guess is the point to kind of keep you going. But I liked what someone said about slowing down, because I feel like it can be it is a meditation of sorts. And one thing that I started doing a while ago, but I haven't done in a while, is like with the food I'm about to eat, you know, even before making a bracha, while I'm eating it, after my bracha, while I'm saying the bracha, thinking about like every step it took for it to get to where it is right now is like one of my favorite things to do, is just to like look, like even if it's a fruit, so like what had to go into planting the seeds, getting the soil ready for it, and it growing. Obviously, every time you take a bite out of a food, I don't know how like practical it is, but every now and then it just gives me so much inspiration to really understand what a gift it is that I have this food, and how much effort and time and the process that it took, like a loaf of bread, like what that had to go through with growing and then processing it, and like understanding, like, and thinking about the nutrients it gives you. It's all, again, like a meditation of like visualization, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, it can be really hard with our busy everyday lives to like make time to eat and slow down.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you is kind of a tension that on the one hand, there's so much to meditate on and connect to, even just on the physical origins of the food, as well as the spiritual experience.
In the food.
So...
Also that other, sorry to cut you off. Yeah, that other part of it, just we're human and we have human fast-paced lives, and yeah. And then the whole thing of like eating to a certain point, you know, in terms of being full, but it's just like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to eat again. So I'm not going to pace myself now. I'm just going to eat whatever it is that I have in front of me, because I just, you know, I have food. So it's definitely a balance struggle.
Yes. So there's a tension between, you can feel a great potential, and at the same time, the actualizing is so hard because life, busyness, and just the needs, the needs to eat. Also what you said is also, that's a very deep thing. I remember years ago, I switched yeshivas, and I wasn't in a official meal program, and I had to every day just get myself food. And the feeling was, it was a very, very disarming, whatever the word is, like disorienting, very disorienting. I never knew what I was going to eat, and I never knew how much to eat, because I didn't know what was going to be the next thing. And that's you know, I could afford the food, but it was still, because I was living like in a dorm, like without a kitchen, and I just had to just get stuff whenever, and it was, yeah, that was probably the most extreme time for me in my life, where the difficulty was just so, and where the feeling of what the next meal is going to be interfered with the present meal. So many confusions that can set in, right? Anyone want to add a little more? Yeah, please. Yeah.
Seriously, I was thinking of what I learned very, very at a young age, but I haven't been able to fulfill, is what the Rambam said about leaving a shlish empty.
Oh, right. So we'll see this Rambam. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean a third, right? A third of your appetite unfulfilled. He says that that's the healthiest. We'll look into that 100%. That's another big tension. How much do I eat? Am I right? What?
I'm so not there.
Totally not there. Am I really? Do I need this next bite? Do I not need this next bite? Yeah. Go ahead, Sai.
When I was in school in Spot when I was 17, my rabbi was into Tzadok Masters, and he said, if you want an apple, you should eat an orange. You should go against your typos. And he said that was not a good ideal for us. He said that was what he holds by. And he said, most people don't go in the Tzadok Masters. That's his challenge. And to like really like go against his typos.
Keep going against. So there is such a thing as this, as we're going to see, that the sages have these opposite teachings about asceticism. Is it good to go against it and break it, or is it good to, yes, enjoy it? We're going to discuss this, but that Nevardak, there are very few Nevardakers left in the world, probably these days. Yeah, amazing. So that idea of there is a legitimate idea and definitely at some point, like the 13th chocolate bar is probably not, there's a point for anybody where we need to curb, we have where that is a question, but and whether you have to actually, I want an apple, so I'm going to get an orange like he did, to break, to try and always go against it is an extreme that very few people do, but the energy of that is still a real part of the tension of eating, as we're going to explore with Hashem. Did you want to say, Abigail? Yeah.
Yeah. Could you hear me?
Yes, Abby. Shalom Aleichem.
Yeah. Hi. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem Shalom. Yeah, I'm resonating with what everyone's saying, and also like playing off what Giddy was saying, that I also have been on this journey for a while of trying to be really present with my food and setting intention, because for so many years, like you could just say the bracha, but without the intention, it's like really thinking about like how it's going to digest through my body, and also like how much to eat, and spending the time like making the food is also such a special thing, because a lot of people like don't have time or don't want to spend the time making the food. Like part of it, and being present in the moment. And I think it's the greatest challenge for all of us, because it's tikkun chava. It's like on Shabbat and like tzaddikim, they like raise up the spark. So if we can think when we're eating the food that we're raising each spark, or that if like the meat, like I always like try to, if the meat had any impurities, that no impurities are going into my body. So this has been like a real big journey that I've been on. And I think also like it's really important for everyone to understand, and what I'm learning more and more is that there's different foods that are good for different people, and how much. And so we're all different. So part of that journey is also learning what our body needs and wants, and nourishing ours and cleansing at the right times. And it's like, it's such a way of getting to know yourself. And I think that's like such a beautiful relationship that we can have with it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you're bringing in, if I'm remembering right, first of all, that longing and some experiencing of the meditative aspect of eating, which is so key. But as like we said before, it's difficult to achieve. Then you were bringing in about connecting to the preparation of the food, because the preparation of the food is going to affect. It's going to affect it, the energy. Reb Shalom, somebody once asked Reb Shalom about the challahs. How does Judy make such unbelievable challahs? And he said, she davens into the dough as she's making it, right? And of course, the love and the connectivity and the intention that goes into the making of the food is also a big part of it. And that's something else we were. When we, for the matzah factory, that whole atmosphere of in the places that are less industrial and more spiritual, the mamish singing Hallel, it's nigunim after nigunim. It's the most happiest, most incredible place. Yes, come join our chaburah next year, and it's mamish, it's heavenly. It's a heavenly, you're taking part in the divine preparation of food. Hashem gives you a place in the assembly line of shefa, of that blessing as it's coming down. So every kitchen, really, all the time, is mamish that. And then, Abby, you're also mentioning about getting to know our bodies, that we have different blood types. There's so much a depth of information, mamish physical information, that you can know about yourself in terms of your body, and what kinds of foods are going to energize, what kinds of foods are going to put you to sleep, what times of day are good to eat, what times of day aren't as good to eat, and they vary for each person. And So, like you said, it was very touching that this is a way of getting to know yourself. Hashem, like we said before, and it's based in Rabbi Nachman's story of the exchanged children. We have to remember who we are. That we and like it says, it's brought in the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, very special book, that we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so here we are, each in this body, you know, and there are particularities to the bodies that we have, to our age, etc. To our also the one thing I noticed from years ago in Montreal, we used to once a month have a sustainable Shabbos. I was a campus rabbi, and we would eat for the whole Shabbos only food that came from a 200-kilometer radius around Montreal, and especially in the winter, it was very special because what you eat in the winter are root vegetables, and we had chicken that was raised, you know, in a nice humane way right nearby, and nothing had sat on trucks or been frozen for extended periods amount of time. And I remember how peaceful it was, more Shabbostic. The food had menucha in it because it wasn't like this whole this like machine thing. That it was an amazing experience, and not only because there aren't added ingredients or a long shelf life, but because when you're in a certain environment, the food that environment produces at that time of year fits with the weather and with the hours of daylight and with the plants and whatever they're putting out into the air and so on. So there's a harmony that you can connect to that's very real, and it's mamish min hashamayim. And being in tune with that is also like just to extend what Avi was saying about our own bodies, is also our own location and the environmental system that we are in. Hi.
Macrobiotics is really into that kind of eating, seasonal and local.
Right.
Yeah.
Macrobiotics, seasonal and local. Rachel.
We still feel it a little.
Oh, Rachel, I know you have so much to add.
In Eretz Yisrael, really, because there are seasons for different foods. Oh, cherries are coming out right now.
Cherries are coming out. Yeah. Well, I could use a cherry. Sounds good. Next year, is that the show? Rachel, do you want to say something? What's it called? Just unmute, or maybe next time. Okay. You don't have to. Okay, fine. Okay, next time. Is that the show? Okay, so let's dip in a little further, Bezos Hashem, into Rabbi Kivak's Torah, and Bezat Hashem, we'll get to Rav Tzadok today, hopefully. Bezat Hashem. It's good to go slow. Any questions up until this point? We just kind of getting situated. Okay. Rabbi Kivak, at the beginning of his pamphlet, I just was mentioning to those of you who weren't here, a wondrous thing happened to me the last week from this teacher, this Rebbe of mine who I've just been connecting to deeply over the last couple of years. He happened to have just put out this pamphlet about eating, mamish, just last week. So I'm thrilled, and it's immensely helpful. And it's from one of the great leaders of our generation. Rabbi Kivak is the teacher of and leader for many great people, including Rabbi Kluger and Rabbi Morgenstern, very famous, and his students are more famous than he. In any case, he says generally people are feeling, when they hear about Kedushat Achila, they feel that this is a intimidating idea, generally speaking, and it sounds like it's an advanced idea. Maybe first I have to do, spend 50 years just, doing other basics before I finally graduate to eating with holiness, right? And he says, generally speaking, what's holding us back is because, like we mentioned, a lot of people mentioning this tension. There's the pace of life, there's the needs of the body, there's the enjoyment of food and how that fits in various ways. If it's comfort, if it's to stay awake, if it's to go to sleep, if it's to avoid or to numb out or anything, so many things. And so it seems to me I'm too attached for any one or all of those reasons. And how can I ever come? And it seems to me that the essence, to most people, it seems that the essence, and already some people were speaking about the meditative aspect, which we're going to get to, but most people think of holiness of eating, meaning solely eating less, right? Like you mentioned, but from the Rambam, eating less. But that is not what Kedushat Achila at essence is. The idea of eating less and eating slower, and like he himself gives later on in his pamphlet the advice of singing a nigun before you eat, and that these are the idea of eating less is to create space for Kedushat Achila to happen. But the less, but the concept of eating less is not what Kedushat Achila is. Kedushat Achila is Achila, not the not eating. The not eating, the eating, or the eating less, or the slowing down, or the nigun, all of these help us to eat with Kedusha. But eating with Kedusha is not, the definition of the holiness of eating is not the refraining, right? The refraining creates space, but the definition of it is the actual eating, and to be eating, as we're going to see with emunah, we're going to see what this means to eat with emunah. So, because he says, and this is something that got mentioned already, this concept of sparks, which seems like a very abstract idea. Rav Kivak, one of his big goals in this pamphlet is to help us feel, like we said before, we can win. Malchus Shevanetzach. We can win royally. We can, it's not, this is, in English, for some reason, people only speak about messing up royally. You can win royally. What about the positive? Okay, so this is his whole goal. And of Chassidus is the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. He wants us to know. The Baal Shem Tov learned it from the pasuk in Tehillim 107. Re'evim gam tzemeim nafsham bahem tis'atav. Hungry and thirsty, their soul in them shall wrap itself. The Baal Shem Tov learned that our desire for food and drink is not just a bad thing, not at all. It is at essence a nefesh that is searching for pieces of itself. That we are all on this gavaldic journey, and like we said before from the Heilige Gemara Nayim in Parshas Matos, which we'll learn at length at a later date, Shulchan is Lashon Shliach. The table is the messenger for the specific foods that come from all over the place, hopefully relatively local, but even when they're not. And this is part of the complexity of our generation. We do have things in China and etc., and things made in labs. Maybe we shouldn't eat less of them, but the ones that do reach us, it's for a reason. It's mamish for a reason. It's really for a reason. We're on this odyssey, which we weren't sent here to just feel nebuch about. We were sent here to do it, and this is can do. It's not a no can do. It's can do. That's the whole idea. Kedushas Achila, this is what he wants to lift us up to recognize this. It seems that this idea of fallen sparks is something that, that tzaddikim can relate to and I can't relate to. He gives the following incredibly simple definition of fallen sparks. Nitzotzot nefulim, fallen sparks means perusho, מה שאדם אינו רואה ומרגיש את השם. Falling sparks means that I don't see and feel Hashem. And therefore, I get pulled after physicality and other enjoyments, and I don't see that it's Hashem. And as he puts it in a different way, זה ממש החלק של נפשו ששם שוכח מהשם יתברך, שבדיוק במצב זה, השם יתברך רוצה שהוא יתגבר לזכור מהאמונה. That exact moment when you're sitting down to eat, or whenever you're engaging with the physical world, and there's something that's going to make you drown, like teva is also lashon litaboa. You could drown in it, right? But if you see it with the hey hayediya ha-teva, the nature that this is not just a drowning thing that's just randomly there, it's with a definite article. It's placed there. Ha-teva is gematria Elokim, Hashem. Ha-teva. And when we can remember that the fact that this is difficult for me and that I'm forgetting faith, and it seems to me that there are these specific foods with colors and shapes and tastes and amounts and histories and so on, and Hashem sends us a certain pleasure. Hashem yitbarach sholech l'adam eze tanug, sh'adam me'od nimshach l'zeh, I'm pulled to it very much. V'akol b'hashgacha pratit, this is mamish with complete, specific, divine intent, k'dei latet lo et hazchut l'hamlich et Hashem yitbarach b'toch tanug zeh, to make Hashem king within this pleasure, not by denying the pleasure, within the pleasure, that this is juicy green apple or whatever, fill in the blank, whatever the thing is, and it looks like it's separate, it looks like something I have to grab, it looks and feels like something that I'm forced to do to stay alive, that it looks and feels like something that I'm forced to do because I want it, because it tastes good, because I feel I have all these compulsive, whatever it is, to stay awake, to go to sleep, to comfort myself, etc., etc. But when we can have the nigun, the pause, the meditative state, then we can receive it, then recognize we are being fed. We are being fed by Hashem. And this is the doable. We're being fed by Hashem every day. It's doable, right? I'll just, for Chizik's purposes, you should know, Rav Tzadok says, and we're going to learn each of these things in detail and in depth. We have like months, years, I don't know. We'll go for however long, till we don't need to eat anymore. Rav Tzadok says, he says, you should know that just like it says in the Sfarim, that one good davening can lift up all your previous davenings that were maybe didn't get there. He says one good meal, one real conscious meal can lift up all your eating, all your previous meals, and it changes everything. Amazing. Time.
And I want to add that to me, the reason that like the way that registers for me is all the previous meals were worth it because they got this one good meal, because this one good meal you experience is so much more necessary and a much richer connection to it because of the previous meals, right?
Beautiful. And somewhere deep inside, as you were eating those previous meals, you wanted, we all want. The pull towards food is not just a physical pull. Lo alechem levado yichlei hadam. Kol motzafi Hashem. It's a pasuk in the Torah. We're going to look at all of these things in particular. Reb Nosson writes in the Likutei Halachos, the soul comes to the world and really wants out right away, right? How do you test if a baby's healthy? If it cries, right? It doesn't come and say, ha, 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 here I am. It's a limitation. And it says an unbelievable thing. It's in Hilchos Arev Halacha Gimel. Rav Nosson says, when the baby begins to eat, starting with the mother's milk and with all the different foods, the food communicates to your nefesh in the deepest way that you have a journey and a purpose to find these lost sparks, to, as again, Rav Kivak is defining them, that to take these experiences that make us forget Hashem and find a way to remember Hashem within them and to be experiencing Hashem within them, which you can do. The soul recognizes that there really are these sparks. There really is this whole odyssey, this whole journey for each of us that we can only find here. And to go back to Shemayim, where everything maybe is revealed, but it's antiseptic and too perfect, and has no darkness, and has no longing, and has no process, that what we can do here is so precious, and the soul agrees to stay in the body. That's like the neshama's digestion of your food, right? On the one hand, the body, there's this whole unbelievable thing going on of extracting the things that you need and separating out the things we don't need. But what is it that convinces? Why does the soul stay in the body when we eat? Because the soul got something too from the food. It really did. It got a message. It got a experience that it recognizes that it cannot have in heaven. Only here. Only here. Chaim. Whoa. How's everybody doing? Questions, thoughts? We can keep going. Go ahead. Yeah. Ellie was first to go. Yeah.
I know that for me, a lot of what motivates a lot of my eating, I have a very full, rich relationship with food. And a lot of what motivates my eating is my soul's deep need for constant stimulation. And I don't think it's just my body's need. I think like my soul always wants stimulation.
So wants stimulation.
Seriously enjoying some Torah or some, whatever it is, my soul just needs something. Like something to experience that is lifeful, that is rich, and it can really be a struggle sometimes.
Yes, this desire, the desire for stimulation itself, and then so how do we find, the authentic thing that's really part of my growth process, and not just a compulsive kind of behavior. Okay, we're going to explore this at Hashem. We're going to explore this in a minute, because Rav Kivak is going to speak about these kinds of confusions that can set in. But what were you going to tell me again your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, yes.
No, just different thoughts, but you can go ahead. I was just going to say, Hashem created us. He could have created us anyway. We wouldn't have to.
Exactly. The Svarma all say that. Yes, absolutely. He could have created us without having to eat. And the fact that he made us needing to eat, and with all these different ways of eating, and that specific foods reach specific people at specific time, the shulchan, the shliach, it's with great precision, mamish, and this should excite us about the mystery and the wonder of life. It's yeah.
You might have said before you came in that the colors and the forms and and my background is in teaching about children. So we used to, aside from having a garden outside, was growing organic produce, which was wonderful. We would stop the 4 and 5 year olds sometimes in a circle and just have them put out their hand and put a raisin in their hand. And before they could eat it, they had to really look at it and feel it.
Amazing.
And smell it, do it with strawberry, do it with a marshmallow, do it with different things. It was really fun because, it's an experience that the child's never had. They're just used to stuffing it in their face, but to tell the whole group of them how to stop.
To stop and
and how does it smell? And then do the same thing when they finally put it on their tongue, to have
This gun still alive.
Amazing. Yeah. I think we need to do gun over again, but that's so beautiful. So I just want to say to people on Zoom, I'm not sure how well the sound picked up. The Sarah was describing that in the gun that she was teaching at, that she would give the little children the food, and they would have them before they ate it, feel it, smell it, look at it, experience it, and talk about it, and part of the thing for us is, like this thing of making Hashem, coronating Hashem over the eating, and the eating within the eating experience, within the delight of the eating experience, and the whole idea of slowing down that we're talking about is just making me think about this fact that I learned recently about the brain, that a crazy percentage of what we see and feel and hear, etc., we don't really, it's not actually new information, it's just the brain filling in from like old patterns. It's a crazy percentage. You can look this up, like to actually see this apple, like to actually, it's crazy. When you look, you think you're seeing like but so much of it is because the brain just doesn't want to work so hard, or whatever the reason is exactly, like to really notice and literally see, just physically see what's on your plate, just to actually see it, what's on the fork, what's on, to touch it, to feel it, to experience it. It seems like the simplest thing in the world, but a lot of the time we're not even doing it. We're not even, it's just all like backups. Wild. Yeah.
Honoring ourselves as a human.
Yes.
World, as a godly creature in this world, it's honoring ourselves.
Exactly. It's honoring, and it's honoring. Exactly. It's honoring. This is a big, that's Malchus Shebenetzach today. I'm just amazed that it came out today, although of course it came out today. Is we can succeed, we can have Netzach with Malchus, with dignity, with honor. Malchus is honor, we've got to get out of the Nebuch and into the Netzach, right? And that's mamish, this thing, that there's a deep honor in each of our beings and who we are. There's a deep honor in what's it called? There's a deep honor itself. It's holding something that is a lost part of our own self. That's the idea. Ze mamish hachelek shel nafsho. It's mamish, like a piece of your own nefesh. It's not just that your body gets made by the food, but your neshama gets strength and gets connected with what it needs from the food. Absolutely incredible.
What do you mean by that? You mean the nutrients in the food? I don't know.
The nitzotzot, this idea of the sparks, right? Like we said, that Hashem is feeding us through the food, and He's doing it in a way where the spark has fallen, which means through an experience where we're drawn to forgetting Hashem in that experience. The eating experience is prone, for all the reasons we've said, to create a forgetfulness. And so to remember and have emunah as we're eating, that is receiving the spark. That is and now on some level, as long as you're eating kosher food and so on, you're going to get the spark no matter what. But it's going to be there, like we said before, kind of a dormant way. And until you eat consciously, then everything gets lifted up, like that one good davening, like we learned before, right? Yeah.
A point that gives me pleasure sometimes when I think of it is that it's an awesome thought that Hashem created us with this tongue that has all these different areas on it, so that we can really appreciate the food.
Yeah.
And I think like, wow, there's a unity. He knows what we get pleasure from, and he also knows what color and visual we get pleasure from. So it's like the whole thing about the food, you know, that we enjoy it, and it's designed for us to enjoy. Because I think like some animals, they only see gray, or they only have a taste of
I don't know, one kind of taste, not two, you know,
Right.
like all these things,
Right.
textures, and it's like he created it for us to enjoy.
Mhm.
Like circuitry.
It is. It really is. So it's Dafka. All this farmer is saying it's the ta'anug that is that spark, mamish, and the Morinayim of Nachum Chilnogler says it. Rav Tzadok Hakohen, everyone, Rabbi Nachman. It's and we're gonna again. There's so much to say about all of this, but one thing, Rav Tzadok says, not here in our section, but in a different place in his Torahs about Tu B'Shvat. He speaks about how, right, with the chait of Adam and Chava, right, and which was related to eating. There's so much to say about all this stuff, but basically, there's a medrash that says that when Hashem said, "You're going to have to work the field, b'zeat apecha, tuchal lechem, by the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread," Adam complained and said, "Well, I and the donkey eat from the same trough. I'm going to have to go down, right? Because, like the Gemara says, some of you may be familiar with this, the Gemara says that wheat used to grow on a tree. It was a eight. There's an opinion that Eitz Hadat was a wheat tree, and it would produce not just like seeds, but some kind of an edible mushroom-like bready substance that you could actually eat." Good. And so Rav Tzadok says what eating is meant to look like is dafka eating from a tree. That's how Adam and Chava were created, in an orchard with trees. And the yofi of that is that it's at eye level. It's the dignity of seeing this gorgeous glowing orb of some amazing color and substance and shape and so on, and do no more than to just pluck it and receive it panim b'panim, right? So it's like it's amazing, right? Now, really, even though we have to farm and we do all of these things, but when we say hamoitzi lechem, this is why that's the bracha that is counts for all of the brachas of the food of the meal. When we're able to say, it's you, Hashem, who takes the bread out of the earth. Even though there's so many 11 stages, 11 malachas of Shabbos are learned out from plowing, even before you plant, and planting, and so on, and everything you have to do till you get to bread on your table. But when you can say, Baruch atah Hashem kin melech haolam hamoitzi lechem min haaretz, and you can receive it from the wheat tree. You can receive it with that mamish. That's what Shabbos. That's what you can receive it from the wheat tree. Like before the chait mamish, you can receive this dignified feeding from Shamayim.
Benji brings it out in his book also. That doesn't make sense because you said the process for us, but ultimately when Mashiach will come, we're receiving the bread whole and edible.
Yes, the Gemara says the end of Ketubah. Yes, the Atida Eretz Yisrael shetotzi glus kaot. The trees of Eretz Yisrael will one day go back to this nature of, and right. The Gemara they say the students were wondering how's it going to be, and the teacher said, well, just look at mushrooms. You see these ready-made things that just and they have like the what do you call it? They have like they're nice and chunky, whatever the word is. I don't know. Any case, so yeah, there's this dignity. So I wanted to try to do one little piece from Rav Tzadok today. Is that the same? Everyone is okay for another 15 minutes or so? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that the same? I don't know. We didn't really set an end time for the shir, but roughly an hour. I don't know. Like we start at 1:30. Okay. So this is. I tried to print out from the print shop. I have it on a WhatsApp attachment. If people want to forward it to themselves or whatever, does anybody want to see it inside? You take it forward. Just add yourself to my contacts and forward this to yourself. It's the text of Rav Tzadok that we're going to be looking at. It's Rav Tzadok in his Sefer Pri Tzadik. If you happen to have one, there's he has 5 books. And it's also on Sefaria, 100% on Sefaria. He has at the end of the section on Bereshis, you could just use it. You could just open it there and just use it. Okay. Does it not open?
No, I don't know it.
Okay. So in the future, I'm hoping to print stuff out. But he has a like a 10-page thing called Kuntres Eis HaOichel. Just a discussion on the time of eating. And I just want to do one teaching from there that's going to relate to what we said before, going from Nebuch to Netzach to Chap, that we can Chap, that as he's going to say. Gimel Shemot Lamachal. There are 3 words in Tanakh for food. Says Rav Tzadok. First one is Ma'achal. And that's Mitzad Atzvut HaMa'achal. That's for the actual thing itself. Sheyesh Bo Koach Zeh. That it has this ability, Shera'ui Lachilas Adam. It is something that's edible. Ulahachis Nefesh Adam. And it can enliven the soul of a person. Mitzad Nitzas HaChayus HaShayach LeNefesh Adam. Because of that divine spark that Hashem put in, then that humanity and the soul will stay in the body because of this. That's the word ma'achal. Mazon hu mitzad ha'adam hanizon u'makabel ha'charetz menu. Mazon is from the perspective of the person eating it, right? It's something that feeds. It's something that nourishes. It's from the perspective of the person being nourished, that they're receiving life energy from it. And then there's another word called teref. Teref. Tet Reish Fei Sofit. Where do we see it in Tanakh? Teref Nasli Reav. Listen, Teref Levesa B'cholkin Aroseya. We have in Eishes Chayil, right? That she gives teref to her house, which means food, meals. She bakes meals for her family. And chok is also a word, because it's not exactly a word for food, but it's a word for like rations, like set times for meals, kind of a thing. So teref is also a word in Tanakh for food. Teref, says Reb Tzadok, hu lashon chatifa. This is this idea of grabbing, right? Techap, right? On the one hand, grabbing is uncouth. It's too physical. It's slowly. On the other hand, however slowly you do it, you're grabbing your food. In other words, there's no way around it in a certain way also, right? So he says, Hainu, mitzad ha'alas oisay nitzoitz. That word for teref, and it's also the same word for treifa, right? Chaim. Thank you for coming. Okay. What's that?
Torn.
To tear, like to tear open, like so you're getting to the core, right? There is a spark of Hashem. There's divine love in this food, right? I need to settle down a little. I need to experience a little. I need to sing a nigun. I need to meditate. I need to remember, which is what it means to lift up the fallenness of the spark is my own forgetfulness, and the lifting up of the spark is my remembering Hashem and experiencing Hashem within the delight of the food. Right? And so he says, teref is that you're grabbing it and lifting it up to its source. Halas also nitzat chiyus lemakoro ksheochlo b'kedusha, and you're eating it with holiness. She'azu dugmas akorban, because it is then mamish like a sacrifice. That right, you're eating this food. It's turning into the light of your eyes. It's turning into a spiritual, amazing thing. It's going mamish up to your soul, which is up to a piece of Hashem, which is mamish up to heaven. The Gemara says in Zvachim, where was the Mizbeach? It was in the chelik of Binyamin, who is Binyamin Ze'ev Yitraf. Binyamin is that heilige wolf. Right? There's on the one hand, the wolf is a predator. The wolf itself is not a kosher animal. On the other hand, Binyamin, Hatzadik, is called a Ze'ev Yitraf, that there's a davka, this thing of chapping, of going on the offensive, right? Going out there to tear open and get to the core of the godliness of the physicality that's coming my way, right? And Ikra B'Shilei Sukkah, Lucas, at the end of Masechah Sukkah, they called the Mizbeach a wolf. The Mizbeach was called a wolf. Hainu ki ayideha korbanos misales hanefesh abamis, that by the korban, the animalistic soul goes up. V'hashuka gotikla shnikra shukim, ki huba b'gzela ubechatifa, because the what's it called? Our animalistic nature comes and in wily ways, right? You try to stop one compulsive behavior and suddenly you find yourself in a different one or whatever, right? You say one thing, I stop being sad about another thing, goes another, whatever it is. It's like the roof, you block the leak and it comes out, right? It's always finding ways that you didn't realize, right? So therefore, you have to fight it with grabbing with the same kind of thing. With you have to, the word in Hebrew for a snack is a chatif, right? That you grab. It's a grabbed thing, like grab and go or whatever, like that you need to, just like it grabs you and suddenly you lose yourself for a while, you can grab the kedusha. Grab the kedusha. You can chap it, right? That's the going from nebuch to netzach. You need 88, which is pechet chap. You can chap it. Katam yargiz adam yetetov etzara behar gaza. Like the Gemara says, the person needs to always rev up lahargiz, rev up your yetzer tov against Yetzirah, right? We're not just never being good, right? This horrible translation of King James, the meek shall inherit the earth. Chas v'shalom, anavim yirshu aretz. Anav is meek. Chalila, Moshe Rabbeinu was anav mikol adam. Moshe Rabbeinu split the sea. Moshe Rabbeinu was. We could be strong because we're warriors. We could kovesh et yitzro, right? As Derek was mentioning, that it's called the Zohar, and we're going to see the Zohar. We're going to spend months. The shas achila, shas krava. The time of eating is a time of war. You sit down to eat. There's this negative force that wants to grab you away, but you can grab the kedusha, and you can. This is a can do. This whole thing. Rav Kivak wants us to know, etc. And all the tzaddikim want us to know that we can do this. He aliyah sanitzoytzoyz hu al yedei, and here's this amazing word for today: nitzuach, victory, netzach, malchus shebenetzach, nitzuach yetzer tov leyetzer ra. That this, and when I eat like that, right, and the food goes in that kind of a way, right, I'm going to be, there's a much bigger chance that when my child does something to annoy me, I'll still be a good Abba, right? If I ate with, like, that I grab the holiness out of it. I recognize that I'm a marauding warrior of spiritual being and having this physical experience. And I went and the shliach sent me this food, the shulchan, and here it is. And I chapped it. And now I've got this energy to be there, to be able to be there for the people I love the most, and to be able to be in my davening and my learning and everything that I'm doing, B'ezras Hashem. So we should be, B'ezrat Hashem, really strong and have the koach, to recognize, first of all, that Kedushat Achila does not, that the content of the definition of Kedushat Achila is not the not eating. The not eating, the pausing, the nigun before the eating, etc., are all important to make space. It's very important to make the space. But the Kedushas Achila is the actual Achila. And Kedushas Achila is the oneg of the food, actually. We're going to spend lots of time on that. That the delighting is an experience of being fed by Hashem. And that as much as he goes so far as to say that it's like an illusion. It looks like you had to go through all this stuff, but you're really still in the garden receiving a wheat tree direct, panim bepanim, right in front of you from Hashem. And this is it's achievable. Each of us in our own specific way, with the specific foods that reach us. This is can do. This is we can do it. And it takes, we have to work on it, etc., etc. But we're going to learn more and more and more about this. Thank you all so much for coming. Anyway, any other thoughts or questions before we?
It's interesting because 2 weeks ago I saw in the Jerusalem Post an advertisement for a course called culinary therapy.
Nice.
And that's exactly
Tremendous. Yeah, culinary therapy. I love it. Yeah. So B'ezrat Hashem, like we can heal. Trufa therapy is lashon trufa, right? We can really have this healing. That's what this is. That's what this is. Hashem has given us real roles, and nothing is nebuch. Nothing is just random. There's and we're not like forced. We're not like stuck in this terrible, limited physical reality that we can never win. We're given the opportunity to be fed by a loving presence of Hashem each time. That's what, and we can get there, and we will get there, and every partial step we take is so valuable. Let Hashem. Chaim. Thank you so much for coming. So great to see the both of you this time. Amazing. Gitti, thank you. Okay, enjoy.
I'll add one